Good evening, everybody. It is September 29th, and this is the regular town board meeting of the town of Rhinebeck. Would everybody like to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
of the
of the
United
United
States of
States of
America
America
and to the
and the
republic
republic
for
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
with liberty
liberty and
and justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
I'd like a motion for the approval of prior minutes for our September 2nd special town board meeting and our September 14th regular town board meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Chauncey. May I have,
Second,
who's that?
Alan.
Thanks. Any discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. For the public and for you guys, Ed is unable to join us tonight. He had a personal issue come up at the last minute. So we're wishing you well and we miss you, Ed. A couple of announcements before we get into the resolutions. I have remotely laid down, or the clerk has in front of you, my 2021 tentative budget. I'll read to you all my budget statement. It has been emailed to you and it's in your town boxes. If we were together, it would be in front of you. But the tentative budget I'm submitting to you today is about $30,000 under the 1.56% tax cap. The total amount of taxes to be levied in this budget, excluding all of our special districts, fire departments, and libraries, is about $2.394 million. Due to our 2020 townwide reevaluation, it's really hard to compare tax levies because the assessments have changed. So it's not apples to apples. But with this budget, village residents can expect a mill rate of about 98 cents and town residents outside the village a mill rate of 1.72. Revenue predictions are set by looking at an average of the past 3 years and taking into account any one-shot deals or flukes. COVID-19 has caused some loss in revenues, especially in sales tax and interest earned on saved money. With New York class, we were making close to 3%, and building fees, although they're going crazy right now. So I've left revenues basically stable from last year because I really think that there's going to be a continuance of a strong recovery here in Rhinebeck in the real estate sales and building market. I have taken into account the loss of sales revenue. The budget includes funding of the following projects: replacing and repairing the highway garage doors for $24,000, tennis and basketball court fencing, tennis backboard and windscreen for $35,000, a town hall project where we renovate, rebuild, and paint all shutters, trim, and door woodwork for $40,000. $50,000 into the cemetery wall, the new part of the wall that has to be rebuilt, a capital plan, fund plan. Continuing to fund our Amtrak to the Village Trail Initiative, $18,000, $50,000 for the cemetery wall fund, $30,000 into our Thomas Thompson Sally Mazzarella Park soccer field fund, $50,000 in town office renovations in conjunction with court consolidation or not. We need to start a capital fund to start addressing space issues in town hall. Natural burial ground survey for $8,000. We need more spaces, and so we need a surveyor to map that out. The Conway Institute Sustainable Park projects, picking projects that total $10,000, whether they're pollinator fields, gardens, or beginning our shade tree initiative, something for a sustainable future in our park. Additional assessor attorney fees in anticipation of our new valuation grievances for $28,000, and planting new trees or shrubs that are indigenous and sustainable, where we removed the fir trees by the tennis courts. Still, we need to think about a plan for a possible court consolidation. We need to either fund or move money around for that, and we'll be able to do that as we see what happens with the permissive referendum. We'll also need to consider what we want to do if courts don't consolidate. I'd also like to recommend, and we'll look at this in one of our sessions, that we pay off the one bond we have left. We have a bond for the Thompson-Mazzarella Park infrastructure, part one of the development. I think there's about $187,000 left. We're paying about $7,000 a year in interest. I'd like to pay that off with general fund balance money so that we're not paying interest, and we certainly have the funds in the general fund balance. Our workers' comp is the same because last year we entered into a 2-year rate lock with NICOM, and health insurance jumped up about 6% this year. We don't have our final numbers in from NYMAR on general liability, so I have allowed for about a 3% increase, but we'll have to look at that in October. We'll have numbers then. Because we're committed to preserving and expanding jobs and offering our employees living wages and benefits, I've given 2 to 3 increases for most of our full-time non-union employees and $1 an hour increase for most of our part-timers.
Elizabeth, you said 2 to 3 increases. I think you meant to say 2 to 3%.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, 2 to 3% increases, mostly 3, and $1 an hour increase for most of our part-time workers. The union contract has been agreed on by Alan and myself and the parties representing the union. You guys will have to vote on it, but we will be in good faith standing for it. It's a good contract. We've given them about a 4% wage increase over 2 years in exchange for concessions like comp time and spousal insurance, and I'm happy we've reached an agreement. So their wages will go up about 4 to 4.5% over the next 2 years. We've used $206 in general fund transfer to capital projects lines. We've used about $29,000 in the general fund contingency line and a $15,000 in our part-time contingency. This budget uses $674,000 in fund balances to offset tax increases. Our fund balances are very healthy, and we should be spending them down to a lower rate, and we have a lot of capital projects that we can do that on, or we can look at lowering tax rates, but our rates are already pretty much among the lowest in the county. So I've used $267,000 in our general fund, $147,000 in our part-town fund. This is rounded up, guys. $5,000 in our highway general, and $246,000 in our highway part-town, and $4,000 in our special districts, and $3,500 in our fire protection. Everything that we haven't spent last year on capital projects will be transferred over into capital project funds. So I look forward to you all reviewing this, and I'm working on it together to get it finalized before November 5th, I believe. I don't think you have any questions because I don't know if you've seen it, or maybe you have, but it was emailed to you at about 4:30 this afternoon, and it's waiting in your boxes. So thank you, Shelley Day, and looking forward to working with the town board and hearing public input on the budget. Further to that, does anybody have any comments or questions?
I have to look at it. I don't.
Yeah, you should look at it. I did this already, but I'm going to do it again. I'm noticing special town board budget workshops meeting for Tuesday, October 6th, Thursday, October 8th, Tuesday, October 13th, Thursday, October 15th, Tuesday, October 19th, Thursday, October 22nd, at 1 p.m. at Town Hall. We will be working in Town Hall. It will be open to the public, masked, and with social distance. We, I think, need a big table there. We need Shelley. We might need department heads. So we will be holding public budget workshops, socially distanced with masks on those dates, and John will publish it to the public. That's all I have on the budget. Shall we move on to the resolutions? Does anybody have questions or comments? Okay, I'd like a motion for Resolution 2020-187, accepting proposed local law and scheduling a public hearing for the proposed local law to be numbered for the year of 2020, entitled "A Local Law Amending Town Code, Chapter 125 Zoning in the matter of regulating play structure type tree houses in the town of Rhinebeck." May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Josh. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alan. Is there any discussion or any comment? We need to.
We're trying to allow tree houses to be built as of right in our town.
Yes. An odd little quirk of our zoning code is that there's no zoning by right in the historic hamlet of Rhinecliff, and tree houses aren't mentioned, and so technically illegal. So we'd like to exempt tree houses of a certain size and height, and Wendy houses or playhouses from our town zoning codes, not meant for habitation, just children's play. John, do we need to schedule a public hearing now?
I think that is scheduled in the resolution for October 26th at your regular meeting.
Great, so be it. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I'd like to have a motion for Resolution 2020-190, scheduling our 2021 fire contract public hearings. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Alan. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Josh. John, when are these scheduled per the resolution?
Well, right now they're scheduled for your next regular meeting, October 26th. It's not clear, since we don't have full drafts of the fire contracts, whether we can schedule this now. So I think maybe it's best to table this and then schedule it at one of your next meetings for one of your next budget sessions.
Instead of that, could we schedule it now and revise the scheduling need be? I'd like to be able to work to a deadline.
Sure. I don't see why not.
Also, I'd like to discuss that Alan, why don't you talk about Rhinecliff?
Well, I mean, we've looked at the numbers for Rhinecliff, and basically, based on their performance and their staffing and their statistics in terms of how many people come, Elizabeth and I have determined that we should instead use the Village of Rhinebeck Fire Department to cover the area of the Rhinebeck Fire Protection District that Rhinecliff had been covering. We've talked to the chief there as well as the mayor, and they're willing to do it for the same money. So it's basically a wash from a budget point of view. So that's where we're headed on that. Anything else?
Also, I would like to move to give Hillside a small increase, which we could talk about in our budget session, in appreciation and recognition of their working so hard towards consolidation or sharing with the Rhinebeck Fire Department.
Yeah.
You might want to change, since there won't be a Rhinecliff Fire District contract that you're voting on or having a hearing on. You might want to change Rhinecliff to Rhinebeck here, because we're going to tack them onto Rhinebeck. So that contract will be changed.
So moved. May I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the revision?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor of scheduling the contracts for October 26th?
Aye.
Aye. I'll notify Rhinebeck. We can discuss this in our first budget meeting next week, and then I will notify Rhinebeck and Rhinecliff and Hillside of changes that we want to make, unless you want to discuss this further at the end of this meeting. Alan?
I don't think so. I mean, unless people have questions about our rationale.
Chauncey, Josh, do you have any thoughts? Do you need more information? We've been talking about this.
No, I feel up to date.
Okay, so I will let Rhinebeck officially know and copy you that we are moving Rhinecliffe's portion of the fire protection district over to them. I will let Hillside know that we are considering a small increase in recognition of their work with Rhinebeck Fire Department, and I will let Rhinecliff know that we are not continuing with them. Alan and I have met with them one-on-one in Zoom to discuss this.
Yeah.
Thank you. May I have a motion for Resolution 2020-191 for the settlement of a tax certiorari proceedings of Stephen Myron Hall Foundation?
So move.
Thank you, Chauncey. May I have a second?
Second.
Is that Josh?
It is.
Okay. All in favor? I'm
Aye.
sorry, is there any discussion or any questions? I'm sorry.
That makes it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I will make a motion for Resolution 2020-192 for the budget transfers and amendments. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chauncey. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I will make a motion for the preliminary account payable abstracts, 32 checks totaling $83,944.03. May I have a second?
Second.
Who is that? Chauncey?
Johnson.
Thanks. Is there any discussion or any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I will make a motion for Resolution 2020-194 for our capital projects abstracts. It's one check in the amount of $2,285. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alan. Are there any questions or any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Okay, we've talked about the budget. We've talked about the budget workshops. We've talked about fire districts. Three things I want to bring up. One is that, and then there's some public here, maybe there's some questions. One is that we've gotten emails about the gate in the back of the Thompson-Mazzarella Park not being open. So there not being handicap access to it. It's a whole thing with Bobby being able to open it or not open it, or the police. The police or Bobby open the front gate by the pool every day, but the back gate isn't being open. Do we need to have it open during the day? Should it be closed? And what's the risk? Are we going to set seasonal hours or not set seasonal hours? Josh and Alan, I'd like you to take this to the Thompson-Mazzarella Park and the Rec Committee to see what they
Okay.
recommend us doing, because right now it's closed. The pavilion isn't open for bathrooms, but people can go back there and hike, but someone who may be in a wheelchair doesn't have access.
You can't get past the gate. Forget it.
Yeah, sorry?
You can't get past the gate because it's.
Right. And there's also concern about, we've had graffiti and, some incidents with what we think are kids back there at night. So we need a balance. I'll forward the email from the constituent who
Yes.
questioned me. And if you two could take this to the rec park and come back with a recommendation, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Amtrak, Ginny Hart, who's the head of real estate and development for Amtrak, got in touch with me, and she would like to have a meeting. Chauncey, I think you did this with me before, on the plans that they're, okay, and we'll open this up to public comment as soon as we're done with this. I got your email. With the plans for the state of good repairs and the ADA. I've given her a couple of times when we're available. I hope one of you, if not Chauncey, Josh, Alan, or Ed, can join me. I'd like to invite Kathy Hammer as the co-chair of our historic preservation and structures committee, and maybe Michael Trimble. The Amtrak is exempt from permitting because they're a quasi-federal government. But I think our LWRP does have some protection in there for permitting and oversight. But I expect this to be a very positive interchange with Amtrak going forward to get all the fixes and renovations that we need to be made. So I'm
Do we have
hoping.
a plan in place?
Sorry?
Is there a plan in place, or we don't know? We have to find out.
Yes, there is a plan in place. I've been meeting with them for 3 years, but they're not required to. They're not required to get a permit because of their government status. But I think that they do need a permit because we're in the LWRP. So I forwarded that to them.
Okay.
It's all the state of good repairs, the canopies.
Yeah, no, it's a mess down there.
Yeah, so that now that they have cleared, if both of you want to be on it, we could publicly notice it, or whatever we need to do. But it's a good thing, and we want to foster this and get some work done.
Whatever you would like, Elizabeth. It was I who was in on the first meeting. I'll be glad to do the next one if
Thanks, Chance.
Josh or if Josh doesn't want to, assuming whatever date you pick works for me.
I'll throw it out to you guys and we'll figure it out.
Okay.
But I am going to look at whether or not our LWRP membership or status requires permitting and what level of oversight. And then we can start publishing to the public what they're fixing. But, this is a good thing. So we want to foster this. Amtrak. Are you guys ready to come back in person for meetings yet? If we're socially distanced and people are coming back with masks, courts are meeting, we're going to be having our budget hearings local. Would you like to consider that for October?
As I mentioned earlier, I think before we started the meeting, Elizabeth, I was at the village board meeting the other night. Elizabeth was there as well. I saw how they are doing it with social distancing and masks, and I felt comfortable and safe. So because of that, I feel comfortable. I think I would feel comfortable and safe doing our meetings in town hall if everybody else is of like mind.
I am.
I mean, I think I'm willing to try it once, see how it works, and take it from there.
Okay, Josh?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, we'll talk to Ed, but as constituents, the Zoom meetings are better unless you plan on simultaneously doing Zoom. We could plan on simultaneously doing Zoom. Does everybody have a laptop that he could bring for our in-person meetings?
I do.
I do.
Okay, so we could meet there so that people who want to come can come, and people who want to see us on Zoom can be on Zoom, and our clerk could continue to do it on Zoom, and we could simulcast it on Facebook. So it could please everybody. But it'd be a slow open.
Okay.
Sorry, we've just admitted an NA to the meeting, but that's fine. You don't have to let us know any. Okay, great. So some people think that's a great idea to have public meetings with still Zoom. So let's shoot for that, and I'll work it out with John for our October 26th regular town board meeting. The other thing is court consolidation. There's been quite a hubbub about something that we've been looking at for 2 or 3 years. And I just want to remind people that the town has taken no action other than to sort of approve and endorse a plan that makes a ton of sense, and the village has to move to abolish their court system. But having said that, I think we should schedule a public meeting so that everyone can talk about it. Are you guys okay with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Should we do a round of emails to figure out a date and publish it?
Sure.
Okay. I think I'm at the end of my things. We have people here. Does anyone in the anyone joining us wish to say anything? Any public comment? Any new business from any of the town board members?
I don't have anything.
Yeah, I don't have anything at the moment.
I'm all right.
Okay, well, our budget has been submitted. We're in good financial shape, and we have an agreement with the union. And we're going back to live meetings while Zooming, and we'll discuss court consolidation further. I think that's a good day's work.
Agreed.
Anybody? Okay, hearing nothing from the public or anybody else, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Again.
Thanks, Alan. All right, guys, good night. And I'll see you on Tuesday, if not for our budget workshop at Town Hall, if not sooner.
Great.